is they deep, but they were talking about, I'm telling you, the sounds, the rituals. In that day, you could hear that they were one step away from Africa. They wasn't using the languages of Africa, right? But the chants, everything they was doing, and it's almost like the Imam saying Allahu Akbar and the rest of everybody, you know, chiming in with them. You know what I'm saying? Therefore, that institution was serving the purpose for our people at that time. It was serving a big purpose. In this letter right here, I said that we want to thank the church for keeping us human, because there was no difference between our existence as animal life except the church. The church made us human. And the historical stuff came out of the Bible. We didn't choose, but hey, like I used to tell some of the Muslims, don't talk about Zionists too much and use the word Zionist. Use another word for them. Why? Because the old ship of Zion. Did you see that in the stuff? What's the old ship of Zion? All Negroes knew that. In fact, it was a theme song, probably on 25% of the gospel programs that would come on. Some would come on every morning at about 6 o'clock in the morning, and some would come on at least once a week. I bet you 25% of them was called the Old Ship of Zion. Why? From that music, the Old Ship of Zion. Missionary Zionist, right? The missionaries, Zionist Missionary Baptist Church. Mount Zion was a famous one. Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church. So if me and you come in full of Islam, minister to Zionist, they're gonna run off. Only time if you use it, I don't want to get off the subject, but it was a meeting in Oakland in about 81, 82. And I had, there was people from my mother's church, and they was her age. They was all in their 70s and 80s, but they was part of a group. And then there was a rabbi's wife, and then we all met up in Oakland. I mean, it was in the Oakland Hills, and you could see all the beautiful, up next to the Mormon temple. So all the ladies there knew my mother very well. So as soon as I said, well, yeah, we go to Allen Temple. I say, you know Miss Reed? Oh, shoot, I know that. And you her son? I say, yes, I am. I said, I'm Ethel's boy. That's who I am. And then something came up with the rabbi's wife. And she started, since I was a Muslim, she started hitting at me, and I said, I don't want to talk about all of that. I just happen to have on my clipboard a picture taken by the British of Yitzhak Shamir when he was on the wanted list, you know, a wanted poster. Because them guys, remember, they was all wanted back in the 40s and everything. They was, the Zionists was illegal. The British, they was bombing. They bombed the King David Hotel in 46. They did all of that. So they were wanted. So something came up about Syria or something. So now she didn't press me, so I'm going to come back on her. And I said, terrorists, I said, what about this is Yitzhak Samir. What are you talking about? You know. And I'm telling you, my mama's church, boy, they went back. They said that boy did a good job. And it was the rabbi's wife. Now this is big for them. You know how this is the rabbi's wife, and he said I don't want to get into that political stuff right now. This religious cooperation type of gathering, and shoot, he lit that lady up, and she got quiet. And okay, now, but see, for us, the church and the when I was living this type of life back here, our main spot was right down on the main street, and the church was right. Later on, the church brought the whole block up, but the church said we all went to Allen Temple. Shoot, the police when we was doing that gangster stuff, the chief of police and a police lieutenant came to Allen Temple, the big church. This is a big church. In fact, at that time it wasn't that big, but it was still the main church in that area. And the chief of police, Chief Gain of all one, the worst one, old red-looking chief, we need y'all help on working on this crime. They was, amen, thank the Lord, and we have to have a community system of cooperation with the church and the community. Da 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 da. And hallelujah, thank the Lord. Now the main one is right up here on 85th, such and such, talking about me. Now all the church remember me. I was a bad little boy that everybody liked, in the church. The whole neighborhood, that's the way it was. So remember, our organization was mainly a black power organization, black nationalism. And we was helping the community, a whole lot. And my mother kind of helped the church a little, from my part, and they always liked that. So the preacher was new. The preacher that's there now, he's old, really old. He might still be alive, J. Alpha Smith. His son has kind of moved in, but this is like 1970, 71. Yes, sir. And we want to straighten up this whole area. Now, the main one is so-and-so right up the street, and they mentioned my name, and the church got quiet. Now, the preacher was new, so he was still, thank the Lord, and going on, carrying on, because he didn't know who they was talking about. But everybody in the church knew. So they got quiet as a church. They wasn't here. You couldn't hear nothing no more. No, they was quiet. The whole church was quiet, and so later on they said, Reverend Smith, you know who they talking about? That boy's whole family. And then we was different than people are nowadays. We had a little house right on the corner of the churches on 85th. And my mother and them an aunt, they would park right there going to church. And we didn't do like, our rule was if you see an old lady, you can't get their groceries and you walk across the street. I mean, we was really, you can't get on the people's lawn. You can't be out there shooting and making noise. What you're doing is illegal, and you got to help them people. So, when my mother and my aunt would come to church, we'd stand up right in front of the, what kind of house. How you boys doing? Oh, we doing fine. What y'all up to? Oh, we ain't up to nothing. So that's why you could see that I moved from then and now was cooperation with the church. Cooperation with the church. You know what I mean? Because just like this says, we want to build a community that Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad, peace be upon them all, would be happy with, right? And that's why we put this out here and in Oakland. Okay, other people don't understand that. But that's one of the reasons that very few people have had any inroads into, dealing with Christianity and what have you, because they're not feeling the time, place. Now we can talk about Zionism because the new people don't associate Zionism with what they did. They used to, most of the blacks was pro-Zionist. You know why? Because what they thought, everything they related to, go down Moses, way down in Egypt land, tell old Pharaoh, let my people go. Isn't that right? So they associated 100% with what they called Jews. So if you didn't present that right, you wasn't going to have any black people. Now you can see it all everywhere. Black people, sister cities with Ramallah and other, right? Young black people. But black people in our time was not, they associated Zionism with everything that was good. They associated, so if you roll in, the Zionist people want to give a preacher cannot come and talk about the Zionist menace. I'm sorry, son, I can't, and they going to sing the old ship of Zion, right? They're going to start off with that, right? And the old ship of Zion was what? Safety. Ain't no danger in the water, right? Because they're on the old ship of Zion. So everything that was related to black people in that time, the Zionists hijacked it. Maybe they didn't mean to, but they hijacked us right along with it. That's why in the old days, I mean the real old days, many African Americans were pro-Zionist because they were, excuse the expression, they associated things. When they heard Palestine, they thought of Philistines. The Philistines, they wasn't that nice a crew, right? And the Jews was oppressed in Europe, and they went back and they established. That was a great story. They didn't mention, like right now, they bomb all the water treatment plants, and there's sludge going into the Mediterranean Sea, then it's seeping into the soil, and all the water is polluted. And the Zionists are out to get rid of Palestinians. The only thing is it ain't working. The Zionists, the Philistines, the Palestinians, they keep multiplying. But the point is time, place, and circumstance, and association. Associating the right thing, the right people at the right time, right? This is the right time. So all this stuff that we laid out years ago, this is really the right time. And so, if we go back to Tafweed delegations, Rida, well pleased. Most people that like us in D.C., they feel sorry for us. They said, oh man, that's cold. And they play along with the thing. You couldn't drag them over here. And they know that everything that's been said is a lie. But all their friends, are going along with it. Everybody's going along with it. And everybody's going along with Saudi Arabia. Everybody's going along with this, right? It's all changing up now. The students, the young people, I was watching a program last night, the young people, It was up in Dearborn. The young people are changing. Their parents was quiet and afraid, and their grandparents that came here during our time. But we didn't have 2 cycles. First of all, the young students that came here, most of them, the grandparents and the parents were immigrants. You know, the children are born here in America. And guess what? They went to American schools. And this stuff about freedom and justice, they said, hold it, you can't do us like that because, the Constitution, and what are you talking about? And if we have to argue about it, we'll argue about it because they kind of got that American oppressed, and Don helped.